evacuated by crews today from the National Weather Service for tornado damage.
Well, weather's certainly a factor when it comes to voter turnout, right? So here to talk about that is Associate Professor of Political Science and Public Administration at the University of North Florida, Mike Binder. Mike, thanks for being with us tonight. You know, with the severe weather in places like Tennessee, which has two big statewide races, is that going to affect, do you think, the turnout?
It certainly can. Something like this, these traumatic events, much like the hurricane in Florida a couple of weeks ago in the Panhandle, these are things that can really disrupt people's lives. And if you wake up this morning and your house or your neighbor's house is damaged, the last thing on your mind is showing up to vote. And the interesting thing about the counties that you mentioned that were hit, they're all heavily Republican. And Tennessee has a very close Senate race going on, and in a very small margin, that could potentially impact an outcome.
Wow. That's interesting. Yeah. Mike, do you think some of these same rules apply in terms of voting that were analyzed years ago, or has it changed? Certainly because people have changed, you know, how they vote and who they vote for.
I think the idea that there's certain folks that are going to vote all the time, every time, no matter what, that hasn't changed. And there's people in the middle that might vote on certain circumstances. Maybe they get motivated by a particular candidate, or maybe a particular ad reaches them, or maybe there's more attention given to that particular race that gets them out. So there certainly are these folks that are middle swing type voters that may show up, may not. Turnout has been high across the country in all the early voting, so some of these folks are getting motivated. But on Election Day, if something like this happens, if you're staring at rain like you saw in New York or maybe in Virginia where there's some battleground congressional districts that are going to be very close, if you get disincentivized to show up, you don't want to stand in that rain, in that line, it might impact an outcome.
Let's talk about that real quick here, the rain. Which Democrats or Republicans, which ones actually benefit from bad weather, since we're going to see a lot of that today on average?
The empirical evidence suggests that Republicans benefit, but this election, Democrats tend to be a little bit more motivated for a host of different reasons. And it depends where the rain hits. If you have a heavy rain in Republican precincts, that's going to impact them more than it does in Democratic precincts.
All right, Mike Binder, we appreciate that. Binder, sorry, thanks for talking to us this morning. I was going to ask him, too, about how the Florida Panhandle, you know.
Michael. Well, he was saying a lot of them are still. Yeah, he had, kind of mentioned that earlier when there's a big severe system like this. It's the last thing on people's mind.
Some people still want to vote.
Yeah, they do. All right, Chris.
All right, Coast to Coast now with